Hello and welcome back to Skypothesis. We are two brothers dedicated to roleplay builds that combine unique aesthetics with immersive roleplay and engaging gameplay. We build our characters as if they were for a tabletop RPG, and we think of Skyrim as both the game board and the DM. While mods can provide novel new experiences to video games, we believe that there is something incredibly satisfying about creatively using what the game has already given us to make something fresh and new. This week we are excited to showcase our latest build, the Burning Barbarian, a proud Nord whose desire to purge his homeland of evil drives his roleplay, and whose bone club gets driven into the skull of any who oppose him. The Burning Barbarian lived a simple and peaceful life in the forests lining the lower slopes of the Jorsch Mountains. He was a log cutter by profession and lived his whole life felling trees and hauling them off to sawmills. He had little family to speak of, and his parents died young to a rock joint outbreak, and he lost contact with his brother after he left home to join the Imperial Legion. He was a quiet man who mostly kept to himself, but did enjoy spending the coldest weeks of winter in Falkreath with other loggers. They would gather for a pint of mead every night at the Dead Man's Drink and sing songs about the ancient heroes of old. Inevitably, when the spring thaw approached, he would head back out to the woods for another year of solitude. One winter, he came back to Falkreath to learn of the High King's death. The tavern was abuzz with news of a rebellion growing out of Windhelm, and the Jarl who murdered the king with the ancient power of the Thu'um. Shocked, he asked around and learned all that he could. How could a Jarl do such a thing? Though a simple man, his loyalty to his country ran deep, and the High King's death was worrying. He was perceptive, and he could feel an evil presence in the air, and a division growing among his people. These were ill omens. The people of Skyrim had enough to worry about, and his mind turned to the simple families he knew, and how many lives would be cut short needlessly if these dark times continued to spread. His dreams turned dark, and his thoughts turned to his brother, his last surviving kin. He sent a letter to the Legion stationed at Fort Newgrad, requesting information on his brother's last assignment, and was told he had been reassigned to Bruma. He immediately packed his things and headed to the city. Upon arriving and inquiring of his brother's whereabouts, the Legion captain regretfully informed him that his brother had been slaughtered in a skirmish against Stormcloak rebels. Grief filled his soul and his heart fell into despair. The heavy darkness of the world around him was becoming so great it almost drove him to his breaking point. But in those dark moments, he was given a moment of clarity and purpose. His beloved homeland was falling into chaos and ruin with an impending civil war, whispers of powerful vampire cults, and even the return of greater, more ancient threats. Talos, Shor, Ysgramor, Olaf, and all of those great Nord heroes were long since past, and the world needed a new hero, one whose heart burned with the joy of battle. The world needed a humble yet fearless hero to defend against the impending desolation. The Burning Barbarian decided to take matters into his own hands and leave his solitary life for the greater good of his world. The roleplay begins as soon as Ralof wakes you in the prison cart. The Imperials, seeing the Burning Barbarian's rugged demeanor, mistook him for a Stormcloak rebel during a skirmish south of Helgen and shipped him off to the chopping block. When Alduin appears and destroys Helgen, no one is more troubled than the Burning Barbarian. The shadow over Skyrim was growing longer, and time was of the essence. After escaping Helgen with Hadvar, the Burning Barbarian heads straight to Solitude to offer his services to General Tullius. The rebels were only making matters worse and must be put down for Skyrim to be strong against the dragons, vampires, and other fell things of the world. For this character, we really wanted to explore the Thu'um and what makes it so powerful. It is described as a form of magic using the dragon language to shout with immense power. While originally limited to the dragons themselves, the firstborn of Akatosh, they were eventually taught to man by Paarthurnax, Alduin's younger brother. The humans who were entrusted with this power were able to turn the tides of the Dragon War and send Alduin forward in time to where he is now, the Fourth Era, ready to devour the world once again. The Burning Barbarian grew up with these legends, so he felt both extremely humbled and quietly determined when he found out that he is Dragonborn. Learning from the Greybeards and seeking out all of the words of power becomes his sacred duty, as he knows that it is the only way he can purge his homeland of evil. Upon learning the full Fire Breath shout, which should be done as early as possible in the roleplay, the Burning Barbarian finds himself able to channel that power into destruction magic. We roleplay that the fire destruction spells he learns are an extension of his powerful Thu'um, and they burn straight from his heart. With his newfound power discovered and through training and meditation with the Greybeards, the Burning Barbarian stands ready to save his homeland. He will prioritize the main quest and Dragonborn DLC to fulfill his destiny, stop Harkon from blotting out the sun, destroy the Dark Brotherhood, and help anyone in need wherever he goes. His lifestyle has made him extremely strong, even by Nord standards. Though he never had any formal combat training, his years of swinging axes built him into a natural warrior. While a sharp axe is extremely deadly when swung from a master, only the strongest of warriors are capable of effectively wielding a warhammer. Warhammers, when swung with incredible strength, can crush bones like vegetables, no matter the armor. The Burning Barbarian found this to be a suitable style of combat for him, as he could favor his great strength over formal combat training. Even the strongest warriors are left in a broken heap in this barbarian's burning wake. The Burning Barbarian wields the mighty Dragonbone Warhammer, smithed himself using the bones of dragons he has slain. This Warhammer is more of a club, and we absolutely love the brutish look it has. It actually has the highest base damage of any weapon available in the entire game, though its attack speed is very slow. This can be countered with the Elemental Fury shout, which we'll use very often in combat. For his necklace, he will wear an Amulet of Talos for 20% faster shout cooldown, so he can make the most of this powerful warhammer. For armor, he will wear the shirtless, shoulder cover variant of fur armor. While it has low base stats, it can be smithed up decently high with the right preparation. Same goes for the Dawnguard gauntlets and boots, which we are using for aesthetic purposes. We feel that they really pull together this character's look as a former lumberjack. You will want to get your hands on a good ring of Fortify health as well. Like a true barbarian, he keeps his armor minimal, so you will need extra defense in other ways. Obtaining the ability Agent of Morrow will give you 15% magic resistance, which should be done as early as possible. While we chose to wear the Amulet of Talos to speed up shout cooldowns, you may find it more useful to have an Amulet of Health for a little bit of extra padding. Moving on to spells and shouts. The Burning Barbarian, as his name implies, makes frequent use of flame spells, which we roleplay to be an extension of the Fire Breath Thu'um. He uses the spell Fireball to attack ranged foes, and Flame Cloak to roast enemies who get too close. He will also make great use of the expert level destruction spell Wall of Flames. While this spell has a reputation for having a low DPS output, we have found that this is generally because players spread their wall too thin. When used situationally in a concentrated location, they can be quite useful in addition to looking wicked cool. The most important shout is the fully upgraded Fire Breath. Remember to meditate on Yol with Parthenax, and take the Black Book ability Dragonborn Flame. This will be his signature finishing move, as the Black Book upgrade releases fireworms upon killing an enemy with a shout. We will utilize this shout in a special move later in the video. Elemental Fury will be incredibly useful to increase DPS to the ultra-slow Warhammer. He will also use Whirlwind Sprint, Dragon Aspect, Unrelenting Force, Call Dragon, Dragon Rend, and any other quintessential Dragonborn themed shouts. The Burning Barbarian grew up learning the uses of various alchemical ingredients as he lived off the land, though generally making potions of healing in case of a logging accident. In response to the looming threats in Skyrim, he has since learned how to make specific concoctions to aid his strength in combat and all-around flammability. His first concoction is called Burning Brawn, made from Fly Amanita and Dragon's Tongue. This is the Burning Barbarian's most used potion, and it is recommended to drink one before any skirmish that presents a challenge. It is a potion of Fortify two-handed and resist fire, allowing him to swing his club with greater might, and when combined with the Atronach Stone's spell absorption and Agent of Mara magic resistance, makes you almost immune to enemy flames. This seems very fitting for him. Next up is Firestarter's Flask, a simple Restore Magicka potion made from common ingredients like Creep Cluster and Red Mountain Flower. This simple tonic kindles the flames in the barbarian's heart and allows him to burn longer. Next up is Bonelock Brew, which is a poison of paralysis made from Canis Root, Impstool, and Deathbell. This poison immediately locks the target's joints and renders them helpless for a short time, allowing the tide of battle to be turned in your favor. When combined with the two-handed perk Sweep, you can drop entire groups of enemies in one poisonous swing. Finally, we have Spark of Life, which is a potion of Fortify Health and Fortify Destruction made from wheat, nightshade, and glowing mushroom. The Burning Barbarian learned this unique potion from a certain Argonian wizard who, during her travels, asked for lodging in his cabin on a cold winter night. This potion is absolutely crucial for long battles, as it will increase your health and destruction power. When leveling the Burning Barbarian, we used a ratio of 1 Magicka, 3 health, and 2 stamina. We generally don't like raising all 3 of these stats in one character as it tends to spread the character thin, but they are all necessary to this character's playstyle. You can always add more to health at the beginning of the game so he can survive against more difficult enemies. You will want to level with the Warrior and Mage stones, but take the Atronach stone once you get most of the perks you need. The spell absorption will allow you to keep your flames burning through battles and absorb dragon breath like a true dragonborn. The Burning Barbarian is, of course, a Nord, giving him frost resistance and access to the racial ability Battlecry. In two-handed, take all 5 in Barbarian, all 3 in Skullcrusher, Champion Stance, Great Critical Charge, Devastating Blow, and Sweep. In smithing, make your way up the left side of the tree until you reach Dragonbone Armor. There are many ways to grind up the smithing skill, but we recommend watching the YouTuber Fevi, as his build crafting guides are legendary, pun intended. In addition to crafting your Dragonbone Warhammer, with Smithing Skill 100 you can upgrade your comparatively weak light armor to be much stronger than before. In Destruction, take the Novice through Expert perks, Destruction Dual Casting, Impact, both perks in Augmented Flames, and Intense Flames. In Alchemy, you will want all 5 in Alchemist, Physician, Benefactor, Poisoner, Concentrated Poison, and Green Thumb. These perks will help you craft stronger healing and utility potions, and the super useful Poison of Paralysis. Finally, for the block tree, take just 3 perks in Shield Wall. If you plan to play past level 40, you will want to add a couple more perks to block and light armor for extra defense. You may want to consider adding Alteration for flesh spells as well. The Burning Barbarian's damage output is incredible, but like all Barbarian classes, lacks consistent defense. This is all part of the Barbarian-themed fun. Alright, it's time to showcase the Burning Barbarian's special moves, which are unique ability combinations that come together to turn a good character into a great one. The Burning Barbarian's first special move is called Field of Flames, and is performed by creating a wall of flames around yourself, followed by a Flame Cloak and Elemental Fury. With this move you set the battlefield ablaze and force any approaching enemy to endure the inferno. Elemental Fury will increase your swing speed drastically, thus boosting your DPS and ability to pummel milk drinkers. His next move is Burning Leviathans, which is activated when using Dragon Aspect, Equilibrium, and Dragonborn Flame. When you fall below 50% health with Dragon Aspect active, you summon an Ancient Dragonborn wreathed in flame. You can trigger this manually with Equilibrium, and follow it up by killing an enemy with a Black Book enhanced Fire Breath shout, causing fireworms to stream from the burning corpse to wreak havoc on the battlefield. This move matches the high risk, high reward stereotype often seen in barbarian characters. Your health will be dangerously low, but the absolute chaos that erupts on the battlefield is worth every drop of blood. His next move is called Funeral Pyre, and is done by using Bonelock Brew when performing a sideways power attack with the two-handed perk Sweep. As the paralyzed bodies drop to the floor, set them ablaze with Wall of Flames, and watch as their health diminishes into the inferno. The Burning Barbarian's final move is Wild Charge, and is done by combining Whirlwind Sprint and Sunflare. This lightning-fast charge is used to close gaps immediately and burn large groups of enemies to a crisp. They may or may not see you approaching from a distance, but before they have any time to react, you explode from the midst of them, ensuing chaos. And with those scorching moves completed, we are ready to finish off this build video. The Dragonbone Warhammer has been one of our favorite weapons for a long time, and we were super excited to make a build incorporating it. Barbarians are incredibly fun to play as their high-risk, high-reward playstyle promotes a more aggressive gameplay than we are used to. Thank you for watching this build video, and we really hope you enjoyed it. If you like what we do, please consider liking and subscribing to keep the magic of Skyrim alive. We'll see you next week with a brand new build right here on Skypothesis.